Hey, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to talk about the 2024 movie, The Fall Guy. Really wanted to see this in theaters, and honestly, here it didn't stay that long. This was a modest hit. It had a $125 million budget. That $125 to $150, it grossed $178 million. Not a hit by any stretch of the imagination. With marketing costs, it probably didn't even make back its money. The Fall Guy is the adaptation of the old TV show, which it has little to do with. David Leitch directed it. He's known for Deadpool. Well, he co-directed the first John Wick movie. He is a former stunt guy like Chad Stahelski, the other director of the first John Wick movie, who stayed with the John Wick movies. David went on to do Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, and Bullet Train. That was his last movie before making this, which I really liked. Saw it at the theater, owned the Blu-ray, and have watched it more than once, actually 4K. I really like. I think that's more of a cult classic than it was a big budget movie, but more of a cult classic than this, obviously. But almost an instant cult classic. I've watched it several times since it's come out in the last 2 years, and think it's a great film. This one is supposed to be a great film, and I really wanted to love this movie. It is well crafted. It is a love letter to the movies, but it didn't always work for me, and I'm not really sure why. The direction is good. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt play the main characters, along with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Hannah Waddington. Hannah Waddington is great. She plays the producer of the films. Aaron Taylor Johnson is the star. He's gone missing. Ryan Gosling is the stunt guy. Emily Blunt is the first-time director. They have a history. Chaos ensues. What it does perfectly is show us behind the scenes of movies and how these people work behind the scenes of movies with their personal relationships and the other chaos going on. I love how he is inserted. Like when they're filming a scene, it'll cut and we'll see it actually how it's going to be in the finished project. That's pretty cool that they had the budget to do that kind of stuff. So the idea, like the original Fall Guy TV series, is that the Fall Guy, the stunt guy, has to go on this mystery. The problem with the movie is the romance works really great. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt have great chemistry, and that saves the movie. That and the directing. The action scenes are perfect, but the 4K came with an extended version, and I was going to watch that before I did this review, but it's going to be a while before I watch the extended version because I read what it was about. It's mostly an extended fight scene that's not in the original movie. Usually that'd be something I'd gravitate towards, but my overall feeling of the movie is some things just run a little long. He stays with some bits, whether it be a dramatic bit or an action bit, a little too long. The first time I sat down and watched this movie was the day after I saw the new Deadpool movie. That was a bad idea because I got an hour into it and turned it off. It was, well, kind of boring compared to what I had just seen the day before. So I waited a few days and I came back to it and I started it over. Much better film now that I don't have to compare it to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is pretty much a nonstop 2-hour comedy. This is more of a romantic comedy than an action film, but it does have amazing action set pieces. If you're a fan of action films, you are going to get your fill, especially the way they execute some of them as parts of the story. I really like that. So I like the chemistry. I like the overall story. I just don't think the story was that engaging. Like the mystery, there's not a whole lot of mystery to it. They spend way too much time on the other stuff and not enough time on the mystery. And then when we get back to the mystery, it's kind of all of a sudden solved. And then we're into the third part, which is a long action piece again. It probably could have worked on that. Drew Pearce wrote the screenplay. He did Iron Man 3, Hobbs and Shaw, and wrote the story for The Last Mission Impossible. That and some British stuff. So there you go. This was co-produced with Kelly McCormick. That's David's, I think they're married. They are a couple who met making movies. Now they make movies together. There's not very many people, on this film for such a big budget film. You would think, like some of the movies that have come out this summer, there'd be 10 producers and writers and all that. There aren't. So the faults come with the handful of people that made the movie. Again, this is a good movie. It's a well-made movie. It's a funny movie. It's a very entertaining movie. At just over 2 hours, it's not too long. It's fine. But as reviewers, and if something doesn't hit me right, I got to be honest about it. It wasn't as great as like the director's previous movies. I think it's a bigger movie for him. I think it's a better movie for him, but overall it didn't hit me like Atomic Blonde did, like Hobbs and Shaw did, which I really enjoyed, as goofy as it is. And Bullet Train, as goofy as that is, I really enjoyed that. There is a lot of Deadpool 2 in some of the action scenes. There is a lot of Hobbs and Shaw in the action scenes. You can tell that this is the same director. He does a few things and takes them up a notch or does them a little differently. But some of the action scenes didn't feel very familiar. And I think that's part of what they were going for. They wanted this to feel like a real behind the scenes of a real movie kind of thing. But some of these action scenes were very much what we have seen before. It's interesting to see Ryan Gosling in them or some of the other people. I loved Winston Duke in this movie. He plays the stunt coordinator for the film. They're working on a science fiction film called Metal Storm. It's her baby project, and how they cut back and forth into it with the trailers and the scenes they're filming, and Aaron Taylor Johnson starring in it and Ryan Gosling doing it. And there is here's an example, and I don't want to do too many spoilers, but here's an example of a scene that goes too long. There is a scene where Ryan Gosling's character and the director, Emily Blunt, he's performing a stunt, but they're having a personal conversation in front of the entire cast and crew. And she makes him keep repeating this horrible stunt where he gets set on fire and blown into a rock. And it's very funny and it's very cute and it works. And then they do it again, and then they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. And then after a few, it's like, okay, if they had just trimmed this a little bit, maybe 2 less hitting the rock, 2 less going back and forth, it would have been stronger. I made the same point about like some of the streaming movies I've watched, where it doesn't seem like editors or producers are exercising their right to go, we need to trim up a little bit here. We need to, because they have all the money and time and can do whatever they want for some of these things. I wonder what happened here. Again, the movie's not too long, but I just felt that that particular scene was really funny, but started becoming unfunny because they're going to blow him into a rock again, and he's going to have another comeback with her, and then she's going to say something, they're going to blow him into the rock. It maybe went on once or twice. I have the same problem with Journey's Love and Touch and Squeeze and na 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 na. They didn't have to repeat that so many times at the end. Now, granted, that's a classic song that stood the test of time since the late 70s, but I think it's overly repetitious. Cut it down a little bit and it would have been a perfect song. Same thing with this movie. Cut a few scenes like that down just a little bit. They would have been funnier. They would have hit harder. Some of the action scenes, some of them it's wonderful. It's amazing. These actors look like they're actually doing these death-defying things, but it goes on and on and on. Again, the movie's not too long and it's not a bad film. But if I have nitpicks and why I didn't get through it the first time, it spends too much time on certain things that it should spend less time on, should spend some more time in some other place, and should shorten some things up. I do think the stars have chemistry. I think the mystery is just okay. I think if they had fleshed that out a little better, you'd have a classic film. This movie didn't resonate with audiences. It only made $178 million. For a big summer blockbuster, critics liked it. And I see why. If you love movies, you're going to love this one because you get real behind the scenes of movies. There are some real stuntmen and real stunt coordinators in the film. There are also some great cameos. Watch the movie all the way to the end, all the way through the credits. There's some great stuff at the very, very end. It's pretty impressive what they pulled off. I think it's a very good movie and a very entertaining movie. Should you buy it and own it? I don't know. That'll be up to you. It's a personal thing. I think it's probably a 1 watch, maybe a 2. I will let you know when I finally get around to the extended version. I'll do another podcast and we'll get into some spoilers maybe, because I really don't want to get into spoilers. I was entertained, especially when I was in the mood to watch it. Like I said, the day after Deadpool and Wolverine, probably not the day to watch another action movie, watch something completely different because, well, you were spoiled. But watching this later, very entertained by the film. I thought it was really good. Just wasn't the classic I was hoping it would be. I would rather pull out Bullet Train and watch that one again. It was more fun. But This movie tries to be fun. Like I said, everybody does a great job. It just doesn't stick the landing so much. Pretty close. It would be a good B in my grading scale if I had one of those. Just short of a classic. It's not bad. Watch it and let me know what you think. Like I said, it's 126 minutes. That includes credits. It's not too long. It's just, it could be better. With a little trimming, it could be great. But I would like to see some kind of sequel. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt have great chemistry. It would be good to see them in this role again, especially him, kind of being a comedic actor. Wow, 2 summers in a row, he's defied expectations and done very well with it. Of course, Barbie was a much bigger hit than this one, but this is available now. By the way, Walmart has an exclusive steelbook that seems to be readily available. This movie is not flying off the shelves so much, so you could probably still pick up the steelbook, and it's a really, really nice steelbook. And that's the way to get the extended edition as well. I think the regular 4K has the extended edition. I'm not sure the Blu-ray has the extended edition. I would do more research for you, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I apologize. So The Fall Guy, available now in a hard copy and on streaming services. You'll probably be able to stream it for free in the near future. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as some of the director's other movies. I would rather watch Bullet Train again, but it was good for if you're looking for a romantic comedy that's also a decent action movie. Check out The Fall Guy, available now. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. Links are below if you want to support the channel. Have a spectacular day.